Welcome back to the Power in Your Voice podcast. We would like to first say thank you to those who tune in week after week, those who share the link on various platforms. Thank you. Y'all, this season, we are excited to bring you some hot and new topics. We are ready to push you further into your destiny. If you feel stuck or even overwhelmed, I want you to tune in and have a mind of expectancy, because we believe that if you challenge it, it will change.
Welcome back to the Power in Your Voice. We are always so grateful to all of our listeners who stands with us and listen to the podcast. And I always pray that you always get something out of it, or it makes you think, or it makes you move in the direction that you need to be moving in, or however. I appreciate all of my listeners. Thank you for sharing it with your friends, your family, talking about it and making life changes. So with that being said, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to be talking about watch your ending. We just came off of a real heavy topic, talking about the time is now. You heard us talking about voting, and we're still not finished with that, but we will come back to it. So we're talking about watching your ending. Y'all, we're in a summertime. We are at the end of a lot of things. School just finished. The summer just began. I want us to stay focused into the things that we are challenged to do, to continue to move, to continue to finish deadlines. I want us to stay focused. So as you always know, my team is here, and we're going to talk about watch your ending. Jalen, come on, talk to me about watch your ending.
Hey, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good. But this conversation topic about how's your ending, it's really relatable for me, because I've just had a lot of endings come up. I just ended college last year in May. My time in Idaho just ended. I just moved to Florida. Even my time of being single just ended because I just got married. So I've had a lot of endings that have just occurred, but in those endings, I've also had a lot of new beginnings that have risen up. And so with that said, there was a lot of emotions in that transition time frame, leading up to the ending and the new beginning. It was a lot of emotions. Of course, you're excited, or I was excited, but I was also really nervous. Some days I was overwhelmed. Some days, literally, I had got so frustrated. One day my body started hurting because I was just so overwhelmed. Sometimes you just want to quit, or you want to stay where you're comfortable at, because you don't know how the new beginning is going to be. So it's a lot of emotions that you have to be able to process in that transition time period. But I would say it's important to navigate through your ending properly in order for your beginning to be started off where you need to be. Because, funny story. So like, even when I was finishing up college, yeah, I had like over 100% in this class. I had like 102% in this class, right? It was my last class, my last exam I had to take. I was so done, like mentally, senioritis had just got me. I was so over it. Yeah, I emailed my professor and I was like, look, I got a bad case of senioritis. I really don't want to do this final exam. I got 102% in your class. Like, what will happen to my grade if I don't take my final? Like, literally, I was that honest with him because I was so done. And y'all, he said that if I did not take that last final, it would have dropped my grade down to like, I think like a D minus. So that's like, I was like, okay, well, I gotta finish. But it's two things to that, because at least, even though I was at my end, I wasn't so mentally checked out that I didn't check first. Because if I didn't check and I would have just not taken the exam, my world would have been in a whirlwind thinking that I'm still gonna pass. I got a D minus, now I got to retake the class. So that's one thing, but also just like when you're tired, you got to know who to go talk to get sound advice and sound wisdom to keep you on the tracks that you need to be on.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Jalen. You know, you talked about that last class and you said this is a funny thing, but really it's a reality because watching that ending, you had went the whole year. You've been in school for 4 years and now you're coming to your ending. And in your ending, it could have been anything that could have caused you to really come to a failure almost, because coming from 100% to a D minus, man, that's major. That's like, oh no. And that's why we're talking about watching your end, because some of you all are doing so well. You are running this race like, oh my God, but at that end, and it's like, I'm getting weary, I'm getting woe out, this thing is now overwhelming me. And so I just want to make sure that we watch our ending, because I want us to stay great. I want us to be successful. I want us to have completion. So with that, being said, I'm going to call on my son, Wes. Wes, let's talk about this ending. Let's talk about watch your ending.
Well, what's up? Power Your Voice, man. It's good to see everybody again on today. Man, I think this is a good conversation to have. And as Jalen was talking, one of the things that came to my mind, and I think she probably actually said it, was the word transition. When we think about something maybe coming to an end, it might be a little unnerving. Somebody might be afraid of, the end of something, just not sure of what could be coming next. But I think that, when we're talking about something, closing or coming to an end, I think it's always good to maybe have some reflection and to think back on, what that time has been. However long it has been, I think that it's good to just pause and see where we've grown or what we've learned, or how we may have, been stretched a little bit in that time before we got to what we're going to call the end point. Because like Jalen said, that end may not necessarily be the end. It could be just a temporary pause or whatever before we transition into something bigger and better. But, as we do that, I think it's important that that's a growth experience, that, wherever it is, that whatever that end is going to lead to, that we should be transitioning into that better than where we were when we started before. So that's just some thoughts that I have about, about our ending.
Wow, that's great. You talked about that transitioning, and you're talking about how we need to go back and reflect. So Wes, when we reflect, we be reflecting on our good start, or what should we be reflecting on? Where should we be at that?
Well, I think, when we reflect, I think it could be on the experience, the good, maybe some things that were challenging to us, because all of those things together, they help us to grow. So when we take a moment to reflect, we just look back on the experience as a whole, to see how we may have started whatever that journey was, however it was that we started it. Where am I at now? Am I in the same place as I come to, as we're calling it, the end of it? Am I in the same place that I am now from when I started, or did I grow? Did I move, through whatever experiences that I had? I look back on it, how was I educated? How was I bettered in the midst of it all? So I think that the reflection is good, because we always want to be advancing and moving forward in life. We don't want to be stagnant or to stand still, but we should always be moving. So I think that reflection is good to say, okay, well, this is where I grew. maybe, man, this one, this area I probably could have done better, but hey, thankfully I'm still here to tell the story. And as I get ready to move into this next chapter, I'll do better. I'll continue to grow and move.
That's great. That is so good. That made me think about the old saints, West. They said, I believe I'll run on to see what the end's going to be. That's what that gave
That's
me
what they say.
a mind. That
That's
means
what they
don't
say.
stop. Don't
That's it.
stop.
Keep
I
them
like
feet
that.
moving.
Yes, keep it moving. And I like how you said, when we reflect, you and Jalen both was on the same line about when we reflect that transitioning time, y'all. That's what keeps us going. Knowing where we were, where we did good, where we didn't do so good, so we can go and reflect, and we can track ourselves and say, you know what? I have a project that needs to be finished. I have destiny that's on my timeline, and I need to keep moving so I can see what that end is going to be. So I can't give up right here. Ebony, come on, weigh in on it. Today we're talking about watch your ending. Talk to me, Ebony.
I have to agree with a lot of what they are saying, but I do want to put just a little spin on this, because some endings you're excited for them to end. Some you are ready to transition out. It doesn't mean that it was bad, doesn't necessarily mean that it was good. It's just some things you're just tired. You're just ready for it to be over with. And two of the things that I reflect on is, of course, school. School was a lot of work. It wasn't that it was hard. It just required a lot from you. So it was a lot of tired days, a lot of frustrating days. So you were ready for it to end. You're ready to transition out of it. Then another one I think sometimes is career paths. There's times where you want to make it to the next, part of your journey. So you're ready for that transition. So I wouldn't always say, things that come to the end are good or bad. But the one thing that we're all focusing on today is you just have to finish strong. You can't go in with a new job thinking that you're going to fail the last job, because who knows if, managers are communicating to say, hey, they don't finish their work. Once they quit, they quit. Like they lost sight of everything. And it's not just in that. I think about being a parent or having my own parents. What if my parents had just said, it's your senior year, we're done? Well, no, you got to see me through my senior year. You got to see me through my 20s. You got to see me through my 30s. Like, it doesn't stop. You have to continue to push forward so that you can complete each of those, I call them chapters, each of those chapters of your life, going from one location to the next. That's closing out one chapter. You don't read a book where they leave you hanging in the middle of the book, because you have to finish. So, yes, there's cliffhangers. I get it. But even with those cliffhangers, they're going to come back and revisit what they're talking about. So in the midst of your journey, you got to finish strong. You have to finish writing out your chapter so that you can move to the next chapter. And that's what I want to focus on and add to that conversation piece.
That's great, because we have so many listeners, and our listeners are in so many directions, and the way they're coming to an end. You brought out so many powerful things. I just want to do this because our time always runs out, because we have such an amazing time. Have you ever had a meltdown when you were coming to your end? Davy Young, talk to me just for a second about a meltdown.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything that everybody's saying, and talking about that meltdown. And when it comes to school, I probably didn't have no meltdowns because I was checked out in January. But I should have been here. I should have made this podcast when I was younger. But definitely when it comes to meltdowns in, let's go career, because I'm experienced. I've experienced that, right? I was at a job where I knew it was coming to an end and I was getting ready to transition into another position, right? But because of the way that things were ending there, it caused me to melt down and I believe from me melting down, even some of my like motivation to be there and even my work there was like not the same as it was just because of the way it was ending. And I think it's important that we don't, or that we're able to control our emotions, especially when we're getting ready to transition into something else, because you don't want to, I guess in certain things, you don't want to transition and it's a rough transition
Yeah.
because of the way that you were melting down. But I believe that, I mean, in the position that I'm just in my case, the position that I'm in now, I'm able to do my work and do it well. But I believe that even if I would have left that other job, not taking anything personal, but still going out like as if nothing was happening, doing my work well, then it would have been probably even a smoother transition, if that makes sense. So even if it's people in school, because a lot of students do work hard, I just should have worked harder. Like my sister Jalen, she worked very hard in school, and I know she had a lot of days where she wanted to give up, but it's important that she didn't because there was somewhere that she was going. So yeah, that's where I believe meltdowns.
That's good, David Young. Yo, my time always said that it is over. I want to leave this with you. As all of us, as the team, the LP team has given some good nuggets. I want you to stay involved, even though it's coming to an end. I want you to finish strong and don't lose sight. Continue to hang on in there because I want you to watch that ending. You are doing great. Peace out. I'll talk to you next time. Blessings.